Hi guys, PJ here. Today I'm doing a bit of a fitter's review on this Echomaster parking plate reversing aid, and I'll give you some quick tips on fitting it, etc. Generally, if I think it's any good. This is a very cheap kit, so you know it's basically a beep kit. So as you get nearer something, it will beep, beep, beep. It's not a camera or anything like that. In the kit, you get a number plate holder. This is the rear of it with all your cables, and then all you basically do, drill yourself a hole or use a grommet that's already there. If you haven't got a hole and you do drill one, put a grommet in it. I'll be putting a grommet in this particular one. And then the other end terminates in these little connectors that you plug into a interface box. There's 3 of them and they're all labelled with, you know, which socket they go in. Nice and simple. Make sure your rubber grommet's nicely seated, you don't want any water or damp getting in, and also normally paint the metal where you've drilled it. If you've drilled through the metal, you don't want it rusting or anything like that. But that's how it should look, so there's basically no hole, no damp's going to get in there. So, the other bits in the kit, really straightforward kit this, guys, can't really get it wrong, it's simple enough. So, there you go, B, C, D, they're your reversing sensor connectors, and then you've got your power and display if applicable. This one is just a beeper, so there's a speaker, very tiny speaker, and the plug obviously fits in there for the speaker, which you route to the front of the car. You've also got a power plug just there, so you take your power to that one, and yeah, it should work. Now, I've fitted these before. There's a couple of downsides. One, the speaker's pretty quiet, so bear that in mind, it's not very loud. And the other thing is the little, I'll show you on this one, the little round sensors that are in it tend to clog up when they salt the roads. So when there's an ice, you know, it's all icy and they do a bit of salting, they sort of go a bit funny and pack up. The reliability on these is definitely questionable, but they are cheap. So hey, I'll do some more installation, show you some tips along the way, and let's get on with it for now. Okay, so first problem I'm going to point out with these is, if you have a recess like this particular car does, the whole thing is too big and basically doesn't fit very snugly and nice. I mean, the number plate lights are going to be obscured. It's not ideal. Even when that's screwed in, it's going to be a pain in the neck. This number plate is actually, it's got like the dealer part at the bottom which sticks down. That doesn't help either. You need a generic size plate for these, but there's going to be a gap at the back. It's not an ideal thing, and personally, on a recessed bumper like this, I wouldn't even bother. Quick update, we're all screwed in and secure, but like I say, personally I wouldn't do this due to the reversing lights here, but the owner of the vehicle is insistent that this goes ahead, and ahead it has gone, so it is secure. Let's move on to the front speaker. Okay, so here's our front speaker, and what we're basically going to do is tuck it up behind here, attach it to this panel, and run the cable all the way down the car. So we'll run it along the footwell here and down the sill edge here, all the way to the boot. Okay, another little problem worth mentioning with this kit. This is a tiny little car. It's an iGo. It's really tiny 2-door car. This is the cable from the front speaker, and basically it stretches to where the seat belt is. We can't get it all the way to the boot without extending it. This is a problem because obviously this is a really small car, and you need the speaker at the front where you can hear it, because the speaker is really quiet on these, which I will demonstrate later on. So if you put the speaker in the boot, you're never going to hear it, and especially on a decent sized vehicle. So problem number 2. All in all, I reckon I've had to extend the cable about 5 foot. Now, I am going to heat shrink this afterwards to make sure it's watertight before I tuck it up out of the way. But again, on a little tiny Toyota iGo, yeah, this is definitely an oversight on the manufacturer's side. Now we've moved back round to the back of the vehicle because we've finished extending the speaker cable, and we've plugged in the 3 sensors. So there's your 3 sensors from the number plate thing that are plugged in. That's your speaker plugged in, and now we've got the power and earth. So our power and earth cable again is pretty short, so you've got to have this box fairly near your reverse source, and we're going to wire it to the reverse bulb, the reverse light power side of things. So in other words, the red wire of this is going to the thing that powers the reversing light on the vehicle, which means taking out normally your rear cluster and crimping it into it, and then earthing off the black cable as well. So let's get that done now and give it a test, see if this thing actually works. Okay, once you've gained access to your rear light and the wiring, what you can normally do is find your reverse bulb. So this one's got the ignition on and it's running, and what you'll find is normally the surround metal is the earth, and then the one that goes to the pin underneath the bulb is the power. So you can follow it through, along and down, and normally ID which sort of cable it connects to on the other side of the block. If not, just get yourself a multimeter or a test probe screwdriver and start testing to see which one's live when the car is in reverse with the ignition on. On this particular car it's the red wire, so what we're going to do is crimp our reversing kit power cable, the red one, to that one, and that will give the supply the vehicle needs for the reversing kit to make its beeping noise. There we go, all spliced into the reverse signal power cable. And what we're going to do is basically loom that up all the way up so it's got nice and good weather protection, and then we're left with the black cable, but basically we're just going to put this on a mounting nut to the chassis of the vehicle so it touches bare metal of the car, and that'll earth it out nicely. Okay, there's my earth cable. It is black, as you can see. Oh, you can see that? Hard to get the camera in here, guys, it really is. There we go. So that's my earth, just bolted it to an original earthing point. Now let's go and give this system a test. Popped a cone behind the vehicle so we can see how loud and how frequent the beeps are. Right, let's pop this car in reverse and see how loud it is. Now the actual speaker, there's the gear lever, the speaker is literally there, right at the side of the console. It's really dark in here, which is very odd. Actually, that's pretty loud. I think the manufacturers have improved these substantially. And there we go. I mean, don't get me wrong, if that tiny little speaker was right at the back of the car and you've got an estate car or an MPV or something, or maybe kids in it, you know, something making a noise, then yes, you're going to struggle to hear it still. But at the front of the car, with no other noises, that seemed pretty reasonable. The manufacturers have definitely improved the volume on these kits. All that I'm left to do now is mount this out of the way, probably sticky pad it or drill some holes and stick it to the rear panel of the car, so sort of tucked under, sort of out the way maybe under here. But guys, that's it. My recommendation on this is, well, it does work and it is cheap. Off the top of my head, I think these are about £65 to £85 depending where you buy them from. Installation is pretty straightforward apart from the fact your speaker cable's far too short. Power cables could do with it being a little bit longer, in all truthfulness. Reverse sense cable, yeah, there's a lot of that. But overall, not bad. I'd probably give this a 6 out of 10. Thanks a lot for watching and bye for now.